Hi, I'm Danny Pellegrino from the Everything Iconic podcast. And who doesn't love a classic burger from McDonald's? That's right. McDonald's classic burgers are hotter, juicier, and tastier than ever. The patties are cooked to juicy perfection. I love the cheese perfectly melted on top. I love the Big Mac that has a special sauce in every bite. I love the pillowy, soft, golden bun. So in the words of the Hamburglar, which I believe means grab McDonald's best burgers ever before Hamburglar does at a McDonald's near you.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Welcome guys to this week's episode of Heavy Metal Tones. I'm recording this a bit later than usual. I usually record these on a Monday for them to go out on a Wednesday. It's just been a bit of a weird one recently with all this COVID stuff going on, and then just things happened and it changed my mind on what episodes I want to put out. This week's episode comes really directly from the loss of Meatloaf, sadly, last week due to COVID. It made me think of things. It made me start thinking about. Originally, I was going to do an episode of about the cult of celebrity in heavy rock, and then I thought, I looked at a number and I saw a stat, and I thought, no, you know what? I see that there is. I see that there is a number that came on. Sorry, I went miles away then. A bit more of my G&T. Today's episode is brought to you by a G&T. Anyway, because it's after work and it's a bit late here in Canberra. So, yes, back to try to get my bubbly self back up. Here we go. So, I looked at the output of said Mr. Meatloaf, Mr. Loaf, and his one main album, he released 12 albums. He did a lot of acting, of course, we all know him for that. But the one album that he released was Bat Out of Hell in 1977, and in its first year of release, worldwide it sold 27,000 copies, which isn't a lot of copies, but back in the 70s it was quite a high number. But in total since then, 43 million physical copies. 43 million physical copies. Get that head around your head. There are other bands like the Beatles and the Stones that do much more, but one album, 43 million copies. It's been streamed 205,666 times. This is before his death. It skyrocketed that overnight once he'd passed away, as they always do. It made me think about the battle between physical copy and streaming, and how I get poured into two camps. Am I for, am I against? There is the perception that streaming is evil and that bands don't get their money's worth. Now, I'm going to give you some stats here, guys, which might put you in my corner. I'm pro streaming for several reasons. Here's some stats for you. So I googled the top 5 metal albums of all time. No surprise here that 2 of them are Black Sabbath. But anyway, the first one, Black Sabbath's Black Sabbath, released in 1970. 4,910,000 physical copies sold since 1970, and 122,326 streams at this point since 2016. Sorry, not 2016, 2001 iTunes, sorry. Since 2001. So everything from the streaming goes from 2001. So 122,326. Number of the Beast. Iron Maiden, for those that don't know. 1982, 20 million physical copies. 20 million physical copies. With a streaming value of 625,000 streams since 2001. Then we get British Steel with 1,160,000 physical copies since 1980. I couldn't get streaming numbers on anything Judas Priest today, so if anyone knows them, I'd like to find out. That'd be great. Then of course Metallica with Kill 'Em All, 8,570,000 copies since 1985, with a streaming value of 241,000 streams since 2001. Then of course we come in last with Black Sabbath's Paranoid. Now this is actually be number one really. 9,920,000 physical copies and 764,293 streams since 2001, and that's on the two major platforms. That's on Spotify and iTunes. Spotify is 2005, I believe, or 2006. iTunes 2001. So where I'm coming from here, guys, is that the big bands certainly are not losing any dollars by the amount of streams that are downloaded from. That they're not losing because they've, let's look at say Paranoid, almost 10 million units. And sort of less than 10% of that of their revenue since 2001 is streaming. So these big the five bands I just mentioned, they're making lots and lots of money, whether it's streamed or whether it's a physical copy. Of course, I'm talking about legitimate streaming here. People that pay for platforms, Spotify, iTunes, and so on. I'm not talking about illegal Napster rubbish that was happening early in the 2000s. No, but legitimate, where the companies are paying them back a few cents here and there, but you do the dollars at 122,326 streams that say even 3 cents ago. You still a fair bit of money there, but they don't have to rely on those because they've got the physical media. So I thought about the negative sides to streaming. So people come up, they have always two corners, pros and cons. The pro is that bands like Sabbath and Metallica and Priest, and looking at Nostradamus, the album that came before Firepower for Judas Priest, only sold globally 10,000 units. You think about it, that's tiny. Even to today's standards, that's tiny. Followed up by 48,000 units of Firepower, not much more. Again, I don't have the Judas Priest streaming numbers, so I can't give you it. But where I'm coming from is the pros. If you look at the two corners of this, okay, guys, the pros is that people without much money that can afford $10 to $12. It's $14 in Australia for a family one for Spotify. They can have at their hands millions and millions and millions of minutes of music in any genre they fancy. Yes, it doesn't always give the bands the top dollars that they probably should get, but it gives them exposure. I think this is where a lot of these naysayers go completely wrong. The bands don't get enough money, they're not getting the royalties. Yes, they may be not in the short term, but in the long term, the exposure, this is the key, I think. You look at, again, back to Meatloaf. So 27,000 copies sold in the first year worldwide. It got to 43 million as of today. 43 million. that 43 million didn't happen by just overnight. It took people listening to the album on the radio, listening, telling their friends, being in music press, being on Top of the Pops or on Countdown, or even America, whatever bandwagon, whatever program you were on, to get exposure. This is the key word, exposure. So therefore, they then got their singles out and made their money. See, for me, music press and music programs are now sort of defunct. The Kerrangs of this world, the Metal Hammers, new NME Sounds, things like that. They were the streaming services of their day, because you go and you look and you see it and you go and give it a go. Now, difference is you had to pay for the music then, I suppose, that you had to take a risk, but you still did it, and that was the exposure. Negative sides, well, okay, if we look at the negative sides to streaming, too much choice. So smaller bands are getting pushed aside because the algorithm for the program is probably pushing bigger bands on bigger labels to get more revenue, because they know if they get, say, the new Iron Maiden album, say Senjutsu, which according to this streamed 48,000 times since its release, so that's mid last year. It's sold 480,000 physical copies, so 10% of it has been streamed. They're pushing these things in your ears. There is an agenda. They are a business after all. They do want to make money. So that's the negative side of it. It's controlled by the bigger numbers. So we have to persevere through those and find things you want, and it's there for you. I personally have discovered more in the last 5 years due to the freedom that some streaming services give me than I could ever do, because I have a vast record collection, okay? I have lots of stuff, but I can't afford to keep going out every week and buying CDs of stuff I may not listen to. I take a risk on some cheaper stuff, I get some bargains, but at the same time, if I don't like it, I can switch to another band or another genre. It really does open your mind. And we've talked about this before, about breaking the habit. This is one way of breaking the habit. But then you look at, has streaming, modern streaming, sort of hurt modern album sales? Again, I looked at it. So Black Sabbath's last album, 13, released in 2013, sold only 1,250,000 copies physical up till now, but has streamed 61,868 times. That is only a small number compared to the album sales, but if you translate the 2 cents or 3 cents per stream to, let's say, after all the cuts and deals, $1 to $2 per CD to the band, you're looking at 30,000. It's quite a bit of money. Hardwired to Self-Destruct by Metallica, terrible album. Don't go there. Anyway, sold 3,140,000 copies and has streamed 240,000 times. Again, almost 8% of its sales in the last 5-10 years has been down to streaming. Not so much with your Black Sabbaths. Doesn't really matter too much. It's the smaller bands that are going to feel it. Anyway, so Plus, yes, opens a myriad of a world you would never dream. So much choice and wonder. On the flip side, is it being pushed to an agenda for the bigger bands on the bigger labels? Yes, it absolutely is. And that's what we're going to talk about on the B side, because the B side is going to be about where we go and why we go there with the smaller bands and how they can survive in this large pond we call music. Anyway, I'm going to go and get myself another G&T. Very British of me, you know. It could be a beer, but it is midsummer and it's late night and I haven't had dinner yet. So, a nice G&T. This one's actually a rhubarb one. So I highly recommend it, actually. Anyway, Australian, of course. I'll see you on the beep side, so flip the record over and let's have a chat when the groove runs in. Okay, bye mate.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
It's Australia Day here tomorrow, guys. So around the world, I don't know what's happening. It's the celebration of the foundation of discovery of Australia. It can cause a lot of controversy amongst Indigenous people, as most countries that have been founded or discovered with Indigenous people, America being one of them. I'm not going to get into the politics side of it. All I'm going to say is that what we do here is we give awards out for Australians of the Year, people that change the world or the life of Australians and do good. I'm going to hand out my Australian of the Year awards this year, and this year it goes to my close friends and associates that keep me and my love of music alive and keep the passion and fire burning. So Benji Murphy, for your love of all things odd, weird and musical. For David Gower, for 20 years plus of just always being there for the small man and for the big sound. John Rutherford, this one's for you for being just inspirational with your ability to listen to anything and to be there for everyone and to just love music. Next one goes to Matt Coombs, the Iron Maiden freak that I love so much. He introduces me to stuff so much all the time. Keep the fire burning for your madness and your Maiden love. Secondly, the next one goes to Nick and Mick for the Basement, for keeping local music alive, putting their lives on hold, taking financial risks in this uncertain world, and keeping a local music venue alive, because otherwise where do we go here? Well done, guys. And finally, if I've missed anyone, I'm sorry, but next is Robert Mills, my very good friend Robert Mills. Pardon me, Millsy. Good old Millsy. What that man doesn't know about music, you could put on the back of a stamp. Been there, done that, seen that. He's one of my heroes. Forever smiling, forever fighting, forever rock and roll. These are my local heroes. These are my Australians of the Year. Thanks, guys. If I've missed anyone, I'm sorry. They're all in my heart. You really are. Anyway, here's to 2022 and some more of the same. Thanks, guys. Welcome back, guys. You flipped over. It's the B-side. The groove is running in, and a little hiss and crackle, and away we go. So, as I said on the A side, we talked about the big bands and how streaming isn't really affecting them because the amount of record sales that they can generate. So the sin of the streaming is not what it seems. Where it can hurt, as I said before on the other side, was that there are agendas, and I'm sure we all know there are agendas in life. That's what life is about. It's full of agendas. But we can help that. Oh, sorry, Jim. We can help that. We can do our bit to discover, to listen to play, and to buy anything we can from the smaller bands. Now, everyone listening to this podcast will have sometime or another know or deal with a band that's small. When I say small, record sales are in their hundreds, not in their thousands. Their streaming is in their tens and maybe in their hundreds if they're lucky. Now, I know this because I'm a podcast host, and my streaming numbers are tiny really compared to the millions of some of these big, flashy, brightly coloured bells and whistles streaming podcast hosts. I'm not trying to fight them. I'm not trying to compete with them. I know my corner. If I get 5 listens in a week, I smile. Now, that brings me to this. All of us will know those bands. I challenge you in the next week, next month, or in the future to find a band. You can go on to Spotify, you can go on to their record, I personally would just Google small record labels, metal record labels, find something indigenous to your country would be great. Now, any Canadian listeners will know this. Canada, here we go. Canada has a brilliant underground scene. South America, similar. UK, absolutely. Australia, definitely. There were some brilliant Australian bands which I would urge you to reach out and listen to. Pure Envy, friends of ours, brilliant thrash. Nia Obliviscaris. Now, they are an international act, but they are small still, and they deserve a listen. Gosh, hang on, I did write these down. Did I bring with? Do you know what? I left them at work. Witch Skull. I've talked about them before on the show. Hidden Intent. Okay, bands like this, smaller local bands, all in your local area. Give them a listen. All right. Steel Swarm, a brilliant Sydney-based 3-piece progressive technical death metal band. Absolutely outstanding as a band. Many listens? Probably not. A Perth band, if you like a bit of pop to your progression, Voyager. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant music. That again, small bands. One of my favourite bands at the moment, and I mentioned them on the show before, and I'm hoping to interview them quite soon, and that's Flaming Wreckage, a thrash band from Sydney. Absolutely brilliant. They fast, fun, furious, technical, and some of the best t-shirts you'll ever buy. And so that takes me to this. So when I said that, t-shirts, what I mean. So what we need to look at is, if you look at a band like, say, let's take a small band, let's say Pure Envy. Now Joseph and the guys of that band, they work really hard in other jobs. I mean, this is a business after all. They put on hold their free time and their relaxing time after working really hard. Now Joseph used to work in the mines, so it's tough, right? You come in and you've got to make music. So creating music is arduous and technically difficult and spiritually troubling, and if if it's not hurting you to make it, it's not high art in my opinion. And so they're bearing their souls to make this music. It's not like they just buy a guitar and amp and make it. These people put financial gain on the line. They're putting money involved. It is a business. So someone like Pure Envy, are making a new album at the moment, playing small gigs here and there because of COVID. So a few t-shirts here and there, maybe a couple of CDs. It costs more for them to press a vinyl and print a CD than they may even make in a couple of hours, a day's work. So where it's important is bands like that are the ones you want to reach into and look out for. Go and stream one of their albums. You look at that. If you see that particular band's streaming numbers or likes, say like 50 or 60 or below, stream them, play it. You know what? You'll give those people a little bit of light and hope, because they'll look at their number, they get a ping on their phone, and they'll say, "Oh, someone in Australia is listening to our music." I know, I get that thrill, and I know it's somewhere way in the middle of nowhere. I had a number 17 in the charts in Ghana before Christmas. Ghana of all places. It really gave me a thrill. Not it was 17, it was the fact that it was in Ghana. People were listening to me. And this is important for the plus to streaming, because you might go on now. Okay, the album I'm going to listen to, and again, I want you all to find my goal for you guys or my listeners is to choose a small band of less than 200 or 300 streams. You can see it on Spotify. It tells you how many people are listening, how many you're following, and just have a listen. You may not like it all the way through, but give it a go. The one I'm going to do is by a band, one of my favourite, two of my favourite albums of the last couple of years in small albums. Aggressive heavy rock, heavy metal. So one of them is Heads for the Dead, and the EP is Slash and Roll. And I'm sorry, but Creatures of the Monolith is soul crushingly heavy and amazing, and if you don't enjoy that piece of music, you might as well not listen to this show. It's unbelievably good. Okay. And another one that I'm want to re-listen to again. Now, would you call these a small band? Probably not. I mean, I'm not sure. Look, I think the band I'm thinking of, okay, produced an album called Havoc in the Graveyard After Midnight. The gin's kicking in. Give me a second. I'll get you the name of the album. And wow, so unprofessional. I apologise. It's Havoc at the Midnight Hour by Aggressive Perfecta. See, look, a long day, a combination of a long day, gin and tonic, not had any dinner, and my brain went into mode. Anyway, so those are the two albums I highly recommend. That is a brilliant album as well, by the way. Havoc in the Midnight Hour. Havoc in the Graveyard After Midnight is a book. That's probably what I was thinking of. It's a great album. The artwork is superb. It delves straight into my love of Italian 80s gore movies, like Lucio Fulci movies, and the Giallo movies of Dario Argento. And it's just wonderful. It's luscious and heavy, and it's a British album. Again, not many copies made. I have a lovely red vinyl copy with the poster and patch and artwork, and the guys are really nice guys. I've had chatted to them online, from Newcastle up north in the UK, where all the best metal is made, to be honest, outside of Maiden. So yes, go grab yourself an independent record, look at its streaming numbers. I'd love you to tell me what you've been listening to. I'd love to know what you feel. Give some small band a thrill. Yeah, give them a reason to record again, otherwise we'll lose out. So the plus is streaming is brilliant. Small bands do get a focus, do get out. They don't have the ability to get to online websites and magazines and TV programs anymore. It is all through this media and word of mouth and Bandcamp and things like that, which is still small touch points. But the more touch points we do across the globe, guys, the more these bands get a reason to make more music. And I'm sure out there is another Number of the Beast, there is another British Steel, there is another Paranoid that we're not hearing because we are not taking the effort. We're just going straight for the cheap shot, getting the big hit, and moving on. So, guys, please, 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 for people like Meatloaf and for people like the bands of the past that worked hard to get where they are, let's give them and these small bands another reason to make more music. Okay, so in signing off, let's say goodbye to Meatloaf. Remember, I won't do that. I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that, as I once told a girlfriend of mine, which didn't go down well. Hey, who knows? Anyway, be lucky, guys. Be safe. Get into your streaming services or wherever you like. Please give me a review. I'm not getting many. You can just go onto Spotify. There's dots at the top. Review the episode. Whether it's 1 star or 5 stars, I don't care. It's going to make my algorithm better and I'll get more reach. Hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, actually. After a long day's work, it's nice to sit down and have a chat about things I love. If I missed anything or you want to reach out to me, please contact me at heavymetaltones@gmail.com. That's heavymetaltones@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to idea if you've got any albums you want reviewed, any topics you want to talk about, anything you want to correct me on, and please correct me. I'm an old man, I make mistakes. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to drink my G&T. I'm going to have my dinner. And I think I might go and play a bit of Mario Kart. Hey, why not? Anyway, keep rock and rolling. Keep safe. Talk to you next week, guys. Bye.
Hi, I'm Danny Pellegrino from the Everything Iconic podcast. And who doesn't love a classic burger from McDonald's? That's right. McDonald's classic burgers are hotter, juicier, and tastier than ever. The patties are cooked to juicy perfection. I love the cheese perfectly melted on top. I love the Big Mac that has a special sauce in every bite. I love the pillowy, soft, golden bun. So in the words of the Hamburglar, which I believe means grab McDonald's best burgers ever before Hamburglar does at a McDonald's near you.